The following video is for informational purposes only. It is simply the opinion and experience of myself regarding solar. It is not meant to be investment or tax advice. I am not an electrician. I am not and have never been in the solar industry. I am not being compensated by anyone to promote any products. It is always best to consult an expert before making any decisions regarding investments, taxes, and solar. So in this video, I want to talk about some techniques that I use to minimize my energy consumption. Now these techniques can be used whether you have solar or not, so I think it's going to be useful for anybody. And then I want to talk about the energy provider that I use, and then talk about things to look for in an energy provider. So with that said, let's get started. So what consumes the most energy at your house? If you're like most people, it's going to be the air conditioning and the heater. You also have control over these two to a large extent. Whereas other appliances you have control over, but it's really not going to make that much of a difference. For example, the refrigerator, it runs all the time. So short of getting a refrigerator that's more energy efficient, you really can't control that. Hot water heater also consumes a lot of energy when it's running, but it doesn't run that much. It only comes on when the temperature of the water gets low and it heats it up. Your dishwasher consumes quite a bit of energy, but again, it doesn't run for very long, and you don't run it all day every day. Your stove, same thing, and your clothes washer and dryer, they consume a lot of energy, but again, you don't run those all day every day. But the heater and the air conditioning, they consume a lot of energy, and you have control over exactly what you can, or how much they put out. So that's what I want to talk about here, and I want to show you how I control my air conditioning and my heat. And I want to also show you just how much energy they actually consume. That's a good thing about the Enphase app, is once I got a battery, have something that's called live status. And I can get a live update on exactly how much energy or how much power my house is using in real time. And so I can put this on the app, and then I can turn on an appliance, and I can calculate exactly how much that appliance is drawing at that time. So that also shows me exactly where I can change control my energy consumption better. So that's what I want to show you right now, and then I'll show you my techniques. What we see here is, what we're going to demonstrate here is that the AC does not pull a lot of power from the grid when it's running, but the reason it consumes a lot of energy is because it runs a long time. So what we're seeing here is my house is consuming about 0.5 kilowatts, and that's mainly just to run the refrigerator. There's really no lights on. But when I turn the AC on, this is what happens. You can see it goes up to 2.1 to 2.2. So if you subtract the 2.1 from the 0.5, you get 1.6. So the AC is pulling 1.6 kilowatts from the grid. That's not a whole lot of power. It's really not. But the AC consumes a lot of energy because it runs a long time. And you can see from the monthly data here, from 21 and 22, you can see the summer consumption spikes in those summer months. That's because the AC consumes a lot of energy. So controlling the AC is very important to controlling your consumption. And so we'll talk about exactly what I do to control that. So how do I control my air conditioning? Well, what most people do and what I do is raise the thermostat on my AC. The question is, how high do you raise your thermostat? How high is a comfortable setting for you? For me personally, I can get away with 80 degrees in this house during the summertime. It's not ideal, but I can get away with it, especially if it's really hot outside. The AC is going to run quite a bit just to keep it at 80. So I can handle 80 during the day. The problem comes in when I try to sleep. Like most people, I cannot sleep when it's 80 degrees. I can't do it. I like to sleep in a cool environment, 72 or even lower. So what do I do? I'm left with a dilemma. Do I just lower my my central AC to 72 degrees? That seems grossly inefficient, because when I do that, and when you do that, you're cooling your entire house. Yet you're sleeping and I'm sleeping in one room. So is there a way to just cool that room to 72 or lower while maintaining your central AC at 80 degrees all the time? And can you do it with clean energy? And can you do it off grid? In other words, where you're not drawing any extra energy from the grid. So off grid, clean energy. Is there a way to cool a room that way? Yes, there is. It's not cheap. It's about the cost of another AC unit. But once you get the equipment, you do not have to incur any of the costs of maintenance and drawing any energy from the grid, because you're not drawing any energy from the grid. It's off grid. So what's the equipment that I use for this? I have an EcoFlow Delta Pro, and then I have an EcoFlow Smart Extra battery. And then I have, that will run the portable AC unit, which is the EcoFlow Wave. So it's all in the EcoFlow environment. So I have the EcoFlow Wave portable AC, and all of that is powered by 3 solar panels that I have in my backyard. So let's take a look at my off-grid clean energy AC unit for my bedroom. So I have 3 400-watt panels in my backyard, and they are connected in series. The cable goes back over here to my bedroom window, and you can see where the cable goes into my battery through the PVC pipe there. And then you can see the fresh air intake here and the hot air exhaust here for the AC. And then you see the condensation hose coming out, and then it drips, it goes down into that container, and it collects about a gallon of water after about 8 hours of running. So I put it in this container. I don't want the water to be messing up my my foundation. So that's what it looks like here. So let's see what this system looks like from the inside. So we're in my bedroom, and we can see that the batteries are fully charged from the solar. This is late in the afternoon, and the solar has charged all of the batteries up to 100%. And you can see where the solar cable comes in through the plywood we saw from the outside, and it comes in and it connects down here where that orange cable goes into the main battery, the main Delta Pro battery. You can see it connects there, and everything is at 100%. So at this point, what I would do is just disconnect the solar cable, because there's no need to, the batteries are fully charged, so we don't need to have any more solar come in. We'll just turn the batteries off. What we do here is just hold this, and we can press, and it will go off, and then the batteries will go off. So these are the 2 batteries that you see here. Each one of them are 3.6 kilowatt hours. So that's 7,200 watts of energy that I can use to run this air conditioning unit right here, which is plenty. I'll have plenty to run it 8 hours at night, no problem. And so this is the Delta Wave, or the EcoFlow Wave, I'm sorry, the EcoFlow Wave AC unit. And you can see right here where the condensation hose comes out the back of the AC unit and goes through the plywood. So we saw it from the outside, and you can see how it comes off of there. I keep the condensation, the drain unit on this battery open, because Corpus Christi is a very hot, humid environment, And so AC units produce a lot of water in this environment. So I have it automatically drain. Here you can see the intake duct and the hot air exhaust duct, and I have covered them up in insulation and put duct tape around them to keep them from getting too warm, so it would actually make cooling this room a lot more efficient. So I've got those covered there, and you can see I'm covered on all sides. So if I want to run the AC, I would take this connect this cable here, and I would connect it right here into the EcoFlow Wave, and then turn the batteries on, and then I will run it. Okay, it's 10 o'clock and I'm about ready to go to bed, and you can see that my room temperature is 79 degrees, and that is way too hot to be trying to go to sleep. So what I want to do is cool it down. So I've got the batteries are turned on, even though the display is not showing. The batteries are turned on, and so all I want to do is to go here to the EcoFlow app, and all I'm going to do is tap the AC, and the AC will go to the page, and sometimes it'll show disconnected for a little bit, and so there you go. So now I'm just going to turn the AC on using the app, and I'm going to set the timer to 8 hours. So at 6 in the morning, the AC will go off, and I'll set the room temperature to 72 degrees. You can also see that I've shut off my main door to my bedroom here, and then I've shut off the door to my bathroom, which is within my main room. So I've shut these off to create the micro environment. So this is 220 square feet. So this AC unit can handle that. So let's start the AC. There it goes, and we got the set temperature right here. And so I'm just going to set that to 72 degrees, and then I'm going to set the timer to 8 hours and save. And then that's basically all I have to do. At 6 in the morning, the AC will go off. And you can see the actual air temperature coming out of the AC unit is 72. It'll go all the way down to 59. But it'll cool this room down to 72 degrees, maybe even a little cooler. So I'll show you in the morning how cool this room gets. So it's just a little after 6 in the morning, and you can see the temperature in the room now is 68 degrees. So this system cooled my room all the way down from 79 degrees. You see at the bottom of this, from 79 degrees to 68 degrees. And that's because it wasn't really that hot outside. This is still February, believe it or not, and I'm having to use the AC in my room. So when the sun comes up, I'll just unplug the AC unit from the Delta Pro, and then plug the cable back into the solar cable back into the Delta Pro, so I can recharge the batteries. Okay, we see the Delta Pro and the Smart Extra battery recharging. And we can also see, you can get this information off the display screen that we're seeing here, and we can also get it off the app we're seeing right here. And if we want to look at the Smart Extra battery on the app, you can pull it up right there. You can get detailed information. You can get the same thing. So you can get this information if I'm not home. If I want to see what my battery is doing, you can see I can get real-time charging, real-time data from my battery, and so I can tell how long it will be charged. And you can see it displays. And of course, the display just went off, but I can see it on the app. You can still see it on the app. So if I have to just punch the button there, I can do it again. So you can see. So I really love this. It's about 9:30 in the morning, and so these have been charging since about 8. Really, when we started getting some some sunlight on the panel. So it's going to vary. You can see over here, you can see on this curve over here, you can see just how much it varies, you know, throughout the day and throughout the time, depending upon whether the sun is going behind clouds or not. So it's really a cool app. So you can see a lot. You can see there's a little bit of a delay between what the battery is showing and what the app is showing, but it's pretty much real time. So when it gets filled up, I'll record the time again and get back to you. So it is now 12:42, and as you can see, the batteries are now fully charged and they're ready to go for the next round. So I'm just going to go in the back of the Delta Pro and pull the unplug the solar input and then turn the batteries off, and then I'll be ready to start the process over again. So that's how this works. So now we're looking at the same data, but we're going to look at the data for the heat. So again, my house is consuming about 0.5, that's normal. And then this is what happens when I turn the central electric heat on. Wow. You can see the power that it draws from the grid. Eventually this settles on about 10.3. So 10.3 minus the 0.5 is 9.8, almost 10 kilowatts of power that it's drawing from the grid. If that was to run for 1 hour straight, it would consume 10 kilowatt hours. That is quite a bit of energy. And you can also see on this day in February of 2021, I turned the heat on and I let it run during the night, and you can see I consumed over 57 kilowatt hours of energy. That is by far the most I have ever consumed in any one day, and I was just kind of looking at to see what would happen. Central heat is not something I want to really use. And also, if you consider my battery, the battery data, remember my batteries is as I said in the earlier video, it can handle a power load of about 11.5. Well, if my central heat is pulling a 10.3, that means I really can't run anything else on that battery. So if the power goes out while I'm running the heat and I'm running something else, it'll crash the system. So to me, that all adds up to, I'm not going to run my heat. I'm not going to turn my heat on at all. I need to find an alternative way to heat my house and to stay warm during the winter months. Fortunately, we do not have a whole lot of days where I really need a lot of heat, so that's a good thing. But running my central heat, out of the question when it comes to consumption. So how do I heat my house? Well, I need heat in my house during the day, so it's kind of the opposite of my AC, where I need the AC at night. I need to heat my house during the day. So I have a solution for that, and it has to be off-grid, but it's not a clean energy solution. It involves propane. So I have the Big Buddy heater right here, and then I use a 20-pound propane tank. And so this will heat my living room and my kitchen, and it works pretty well. You don't want to run this when you're sleeping, or you don't want to leave it unattended. So when I'm sleeping, if I need heat to sleep, I have a heated blanket and I plug that into the Delta Pro, and that will run off grid. The good thing about this system is it's pretty cheap. It doesn't have a lot of cost, and the ongoing cost of getting the propane is not that high because, again, as I said earlier, we don't really need to use heat a whole lot here in Corpus Christi. So the cost of running it is minimal. So let's take a look at how I heat my home. So you can see it's a cold morning. My house is 66 degrees. So I want to kind of get this up to 70, maybe 71 degrees to be a little bit more comfortable. So I want to show you the procedures for operating my my Buddy heater so we can heat this living room and my kitchen. So the first thing I want to do is you want to get oxygen to the system. So with my fireplace, I'm just going to open the air intake And then I'm going to open the flume right here. And so that will allow oxygen to enter and fuel this, this heater. Now, to be safe, I have a carbon monoxide and a propane detector right there on the wall. So if levels get too high, that will go off. It has never gone off. It is safe, but to add an extra layer of safety, always have that. So the heater will, it has a hose that runs out here, and it goes out through that window behind this couch, and there's a 20-pound propane tank outside that I will hook up, and then I will turn it on, and then I'll be able to come back in here and turn the heater on, and you'll see when the heat comes back on, it will start heating the room. Okay, so let's go outside and turn on the propane, and we'll be ready to go. So we are outside on my back porch, where you can see the hose for the Buddy heater comes out through the window. I've got plywood, and I've got some flex tape around the window to seal it off from the inside. So what I want to do is just connect this hose to the 20-pound tank, which I'm going to do now. Get it tight. And then I'm going to turn the tank on. And then we'll go back inside and operate. We'll go back inside and operate the Buddy heater. So to operate the Buddy heater, what I'm going to do is press down and then try to ignite. And it usually takes a couple of attempts. There it goes. And just holding it down for a little bit. Then I'll release. And then this right side should ignite. And I'll just put it on this level here. And there you go. It just ignited right there. You can see it come up. And then once this comes up, I will turn it to full. But you can see it will ignite the other side. And then I will turn the fan on. There's a fan that has this. And so it will blow warm air out the top. And you can see it's really getting warm out here. And you can see these fans will, these ceramic plates will heat up, and you'll see they'll turn red. And so the heat is coming out right now. And then I have a ceiling fan that you can't see in this shot. But I will turn the ceiling fan on, and the ceiling fan is reversed. So it's drawing the air up. It's drawing the hot air, because hot air rises. So it's drawing the hot air up and then spreading it out among my living room and my kitchen. So it will heat my house quite well. And we'll see on the temperature just how quickly it will heat this room. And it does it all off grid. Of course, it does help to seal off any rooms that you don't want to heat. It allows me to create a microenvironment in my house where I don't have to heat all of the house, which makes it heat a lot faster. There's the guest bathroom and then the other guest room. So if I seal those off, it won't heat those rooms. But on the other side, you can see my room, or the entrance to my room, and my kitchen will remain open. And of course you can see the ceiling fan going in reverse right there. And so it will heat this house, or heat this space quickly. And you can see that this heater's been on for about 3 minutes, maybe a little bit more, and the temperature's already gone up 1 degree. So it does heat this space very quickly. Okay, so you can see it's been about 35 minutes, and you can see the temperature is now 70. So at this point, I can either turn the buddy heater down to medium or low to maintain this temperature, or I can simply turn it off. What I want to do now is just kind of show you the procedures for turning the buddy heater off. The first step to turning the buddy heater off is to turn the propane off first. What this will do is it'll allow the buddy heater to consume all of the propane that's in the hose. And so all the propane in the hose will be consumed, then you can turn the buddy heater off. That's a safety measure. So I will turn this off. There we go. And now we can go inside and wait until the buddy heater turns off, the flame turns off, and then we can actually turn the buddy heater off. Still running, so we'll just wait until the buddy heater goes off. And I had turned the buddy heater to low prior to going out and shutting off the propane. So it usually takes about a minute. There you go, you can see it, there you go. Now the buddy heater just turned off. You see it's not running. The flame has gone out because it's used up all the propane that was in the hose. So now I'll just simply turn the buddy heater itself off. Then I'll turn the fan off here. Then I'll usually wait a few minutes before I'll shut the fireplace flume and the air intake off as well. And the final step to all of this is to unhook the hose from the propane tank. And then now there's no chance that any propane is going to get inside. So when it comes to solar plans, how do you evaluate your retail energy provider? Well, you need to look at what is the rate that they're charging you for your electricity, the electricity that you consume, and then is that rate the same rate that they're going to credit you for what you produce? So, for example, if they're charging you, let's say they're charging you 16 cents per kilowatt hour for the energy that you consume, are they crediting you 16 cents per kilowatt hour for the solar that you produce and you send back to the grid? That's called one-to-one net metering. So that's what you want to look at. A lot of plans out there will credit you for a lot less than what they charge you to consume. So let's say they charge you 16 cents for the energy that you're consuming, but they're only going to credit you 5 cents for the solar that you're producing. Well, that's not a good plan. It's better than nothing, but it's not what you want. So you always want to look at a plan that has one-to-one net metering. You also want to make sure that they're going to credit you for all of your solar, and they're not going to cap it at a certain level, because there's a lot of plans out there that are capped. And what that means is they credit you one-to-one, but they'll credit you for the amount of, they'll credit your solar for the amount of energy that you've consumed that month. So for example, and I use this in my first video, that if you consume 500 kilowatt hours in a month, they'll only credit you for 500 kilowatt hours that you produce, assuming that you've produced that much. But what if you've produced 600 kilowatt hours that month? Well, they're not going to credit you for that last 100 kilowatt hours. You're going to lose that 100 kilowatt hours that you overproduce beyond your consumption. So that is an example of a capped plan. You don't want that. You want an uncapped plan, a plan that they will credit you for all of your solar, no matter how much it is. And so that is the best plan for you, especially if you're if you produce more than you consume even 1 month. If you don't, then yeah, a capped plan is fine, because you're never going to overproduce what you consume. But if you do even 1 month, you want an uncapped plan. So that's what you want to do with that. As far as my plans are concerned, my first year with solar, I went with Green Mountain Energy, and it was a 1-to-1 net metering plan, and it was uncapped. And so, as you can see, my final bill, it was a 1-year deal. My final bill was I got a credit balance of $888. And the good thing about this plan, believe it or not, is after the plan was over, they paid me $888 and whatever cents there for my energy. So I made money my first year with solar. They paid me almost $900 for my energy, which was fantastic for me. Probably not a good business model for them. You go into business, you want your customers to pay you and not have to pay them. But so, as you can probably guess, after the first year, they switched to a capped plan, and so that plan is no longer available. And so now their plan is capped, and they cap it at your consumption. So I dropped them, and then I went with Rhythm Energy. And Rhythm was the same as Green Mountain. It was in the beginning. It was uncapped, and it was 1-to-1. But they didn't pay me. They weren't going to pay me after the end of the term. They weren't going to write me a check like Green Mountain did. But still, it was 1-to-1, and it was uncapped. So that was a good thing. And you can see there, my final credit balance there was $806 and change. But at the end of that 12-month contract, they went to a capped plan. And so I dropped them. And now I'm with Pulse Power. And again, it's the same as the Green Mountain and the Rhythm originally. It is uncapped, and it's 1-to-1 net metering. So I get credit for all my solar. So my bill so far I started them in December. So you can see the December-January total is -56. So that's my credit balance right now. I hope to just keep building that credit balance, and I'm going to have 3 years to build that credit balance up. So hopefully I don't anticipate on ever paying an electric bill for the next 3 years. We'll see what happens after this 3-year period. I'm guessing they'll probably do away with their plan as well, and they'll go to some other plan. So that's those are my plans, but that's what you want to look for when you go to solar. Are you getting a 1-to-1? Are they crediting you for the same amount they're charging you? And is it a capped or uncapped plan? You want an uncapped plan. So that's what you want to look for. So a solar battery provides more than just backup during a grid outage. You can program the battery based on what your energy provider provides. For example, in the future, if my plans become capped and I can't get an uncapped plan, what I can do is program my battery into self-consumption mode. Right now it's full backup, but I can go to self-consumption mode. And what that is my battery will discharge at night, or my battery will discharge and run my house when there's not enough solar to run my house. And then when there's enough solar, the solar will run my house and it will recharge the battery. In other words, I won't be drawing much, if at all, from the grid. I will still be sending back to the grid if there's an excess. If my house has excess, if the battery is full and my house is producing excess solar, it will send the excess back to the grid, just not as much as I'm sending back now. So that's a huge advantage to having a solar battery, is you can program it based on your energy provider. You can also see the savings mode. The savings mode is basically for variable rate plans. So sometimes energy providers will raise the rates at peak time. So in the evening, when everybody comes home, the rates go higher, and then they go lower when the demand is not that high. But you can program the battery to discharge when the rates are higher, so you don't have to pay those rates. So that's another huge advantage. Right now, as you can see, I have my profile set to full backup. So I only use my battery as a backup if the grid goes down. And so I'll have the full use of my battery, the full 30 kilowatts of use when the grid goes down. So that's a huge advantage. So your battery also has an interplay with your energy provider, so you can adjust accordingly. So that's a good advantage there. Another way that you can potentially make money through solar is if you have a battery. There's this program called Grid Services, and what it basically is when there's a high demand on the grid, providers can tap into your battery and extract some energy from your battery and pay you for it. And so I know Tesla is starting that. They've got a deal with ERCOT here in the state of Texas. They're starting a pilot program with that. So the people that have Tesla Powerwalls can allow ERCOT to draw. I don't know if necessarily ERCOT. I don't know exactly the details of it, but they can draw energy from your battery, and you can control exactly how much they draw and when they draw it, and they will pay you for how much they draw. Enphase has a program like this in several states. It's not in Texas, but there's 6 states around the country that have it. I hope it comes to Texas, but they pay quite a bit. I mean, you can get $200, $300 per kilowatt. They'll pay you for that, because when the grid is being strained, they can come to guys like me or people with batteries and say, hey, can we have a little bit of that energy to stabilize the grid? And I would certainly be happy to do that. So it remains to be seen. I'm certainly not counting on it, but it would be nice if they do that. But that is something that's coming. So hopefully it will come to Texas. So that's it for this consumption techniques video, and actually for my video series. So if you have any questions about anything that I've talked about, leave a comment below. If there's something that you want me to cover, or there's a topic that you'd like my input on, tell me about it in the comments below, and I'll see if I can't give my input on that. I've enjoyed it. This has been a lot of fun, and y'all have a good day.